elections. And therefore, the repeat elections were held under the same cloud and therefore boycotted by the opposition. The Malawi court subsequently did better than the Kenyan court. It looked at what the problem was and directed what must be done before the repeat elections. And Malawi got an opposition person as president. 2022 in Kenya, the court failed to give justice. And the whistleblower let us know what was in the server. We are therefore saying, do not ask us whether the whistleblower is accurate. Do not ask us whether our information is accurate. The responsibility to keep records is not ours. It belongs to a body we pay called the IEBC. Open the servers and the truth will be known once and for all. If we do not open these servers, we shall be again sweeping the dirt under the carpet, and one day this nation will explode. We must have the servers opened this time, and that is period. Finally, I want to say this, that all demonstrations by Azimio have been peaceful. Even when they try to lie, the truth always out. They lied in pictures about the past demonstration, but the nation, and I want to thank the NTV group, the nation was able to uncover those lies by reminding us that these were pictures taken from before. Some were not even Kenyan. Shame on anyone trying to feed Kenyans with lies. And even that apology by the DCI was not sincere, because the behavior of sections of the police has continued to be the same. Recently, a police officer died from injuries during a demonstration in Kisumu. What did they say? That the officer was killed by Azimio demonstrators, only for information to leak that he was run over by a police vehicle, and up to this day, we do not know whether they ever stopped to take him to hospital or whether he was taken much later. Shame on them for trying to paint Azimio as violent. All our demonstrations have been peaceful. Hell breaks loose only when police throw tear gas and shoot us with live bullets. We want to say, you can have the might of guns. We shall arm ourselves with the might of the masses. It's gun power versus people power. It is the smoke of whatever chemicals they throw at us, tear gas versus people power and people resilience. Recently, in Tharaka Nithi, Chuka, they killed the Boda Boda chairman. It was not an Azimio demonstration. But because they had given instructions that all demonstrations are outlawed, it's as though they changed the constitution in their dreams. They used the same force they were using on Azimio on the residents of Tharaka Nithi who were demonstrating, resulting in 2 deaths. I want to appeal to our police, and I know a majority of them are professional. For the few wayward ones, stop using excessive force on fellow citizens. Stop obeying illegal orders. Treat citizens the way you treat your employer. They are the people paying you. So finally, Zain should have been here to hear me say finally twice. I want to say that we will win because we stand for the truth. Hata hatujipigi kifua kusema ati tuko na results. Hizi ndizo results. Tunasema fungua server which will separate wheat from chaff. We realize the nation belongs to us all. And for those calling us names, please don't turn our country to nchi ya wakosa adabu. Refer to people in a proper way. Show maturity and leadership, not immaturity and conmanship. Let the people go. Let Kenyans go from the clutches of evil, from the clutches of injustice, and let the social justice that is being demanded here today thrive. My sister Caroline, I wouldn't worry about Kanchori's book because he is giving his truth as he sees it. One may dispute a section or another, but there is no doubt that the young man is Azimio blood and that he did his work when he was sent to do. Let us allow open debate on issues, even when some of you do not agree 100% with what people say. Without much ado, allow me to call our leader, His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga. Thank you. Get up.
Hey. Hamjambo. Asasi za kijamii, hamjambo. Comrades power. Comrades power. Asanteni sana, you may be seated. I think I know you have sat for a long time. And therefore, after sitting for so long, the other process sets in. Now, the biggest disadvantage, speaking at last, that everything else has been said. So you now find yourself just dealing with the dregs. But let me first begin by thanking members of the civil society, members of the university fraternity, and our students for coming here in such large numbers. We decided that we have been talking too much sometimes to ourselves, that today we want to be listeners. Let us sit down and listen to the people. And you have not disappointed. Those who had opportunity to talk have not disappointed. And we take it that those who have spoken is a representative sample of this audience which was here today. And therefore, I'm going to just tell you what we ourselves had agreed as leadership of Azimio to be our common position. This is not just my stand. It is the Azimio leadership stand. And then I will finish by just saying a few things at the end of it. Okay? But here, as Ongwen said, and Eugene has remembered, we are in holy grounds here at Ufungamano House. Many, many ideas have come from this holy place, which have actually contributed to change of lives of the people of our country. Ufungamano, sometimes we remember with nostalgia where we came from. Eugene has told you we used to be here with our parents who have since left us. And they told us how they organized themselves to fight against colonialism and how independence was achieved. At that time, Kenya was facing one of the most entrenched dictatorships in our history. But we were able to basically tame that dictatorship. So nothing is impossible with the people power. If the people are determined, there's nothing that can stop them from achieving what they want to achieve. Over the decades, this venue has become synonymous with our quest for a more perfect nation. Each time we have taken a stand here, the nation has overcome confusion, doubts, and fear, and taken a stand for the better. Although we have held deliberations here that shaped our nation, none has taken place under circumstances as worrying as is the case currently. Kenyans have never had to struggle this hard to put food on the table or take their children to school. Even the civil servants have never gone without pay up to the 13th of the month. When we held frequent meetings at this venue in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, we aimed to end the single-party rule and give ourselves a new constitution. As we meet today, both the multi-party democracy and the constitution we fought for are under attack. Our electoral system is under attack, and all the work that we have done in creating the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission and introducing the use of technology into our elections are clearly going to waste. Despite the Constitution that calls for inclusivity in public affairs, the professional civil service that we have tried to build since independence is being dismantled through tribal appointments and sackings. It seems to be the fate of this country that each time we are on the ascendancy, something happens to pull us backwards, and it always begins with elections. The election of 2007 pushed us to the brink, wiped out a thriving economy, and broke the ties that had held Kenya together for decades. This election of 2022 and the regime that emerged from it may be the most regrettable thing to have happened in our country's history. The failures they have recorded in a mere 6 months, including a record of high cost of food and a collapsing economy, should be enough warning that we have to act quickly and decisively. We have been told, and I quote, "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. Read also good women," unquote. Our presence here underscores our refusal to be the good people who did nothing and allowed evil to triumph in our country. Something fundamental must give this time round. Otherwise, we could lose a whole country. Our wish is to achieve the overhaul of our state of affairs with the involvement of the people from all segments of our society at every stage. We will engage in the bipartisan process to which we have sent very able and competent representatives. But the people must not be left out or behind. We are not going into this dialogue for deals in smoke-filled rooms. We are going into this to secure and safeguard fundamental life and death gains for the people and the country. Throughout the talks, we expect the people to stand on guard and ensure it's about them and the country. That's why we are gathered here today, so that people can consult and engage and be watchful. We must refuse to be party to the subterfuge of the past that glossed over and compromised on fundamental issues for expediency. Something fundamental must give this time round, but only if the people stay engaged. We are not going into this to be rubber stamps. One of the things that has clearly been on display ever since these past 6 months is that Kenya Kwanza is a regime of rubber stamps. Subsidies are being removed from food, fuel, electricity, and school fees, exposing people to suffering, and Kenya Kwanza rubber stamps it as okay. They know there was an order for the opening of the IB servers, but the rubber stamp is as okay the refusal to open the servers. They know the buying of MPs to switch sides undermines our hard-won multi-party democracy, but they still rubber stamp it as okay. People are being appointed to and sacked from the civil service on tribal lines, but Kenya Kwanza rubber stamps it as okay. You have not agreed to participate in the bipartisan process to be another rubber stamp for Kenya Kwanza. That has to be understood from the outset. Should the talks falter or bear no fruit because of the grandstanding,
for the repeat elections were held under the same cloud, and therefore